All right, let's get straight into it. How are you all doing? Hope you're having a wonderful day. Now, check this out. This is today's price action. As you guys all know by now, we are all here about data driven analysis, technical analysis, if you will, properly analyzing the price action of today and overall to understand where the market is headed. All the questions about Greg White, the new channel, and all that sort of beautiful stuff will be addressed at the end of the video. So those who are more curious will stay till the end, and you'll learn a couple new little things about the channel, community, and so on. So let's get straight into it. As I said, so what did we have today? We opened up with a downwards gap, as you can see. We kind of collapsed all the way from 6,624 all the way to arguably 6,582, although really we were as low as 6,557. We will look at the regular charts in about a second and see all the support and resistance levels that were tested throughout the day. This is how the chart would look like if you'd look at it from a naked sort of point of view. Nothing all that special, nothing stands out right away. So here we go. Let's go over our sort of day-to-day chart that we usually observe through. As you can see, really throughout the day today, we had something very interesting. 6,000 flat was retested and tested multiple times. In fact, let's look from a 1 minute standpoint. You can kind of identify, of course, there was some marginal slippage through. That is kind of normal and something we are familiar in observing with regards to the price action. As you can see, the price action, of course, retested that very same 6,000 right from below. So we did definitely have confirmation for the price action acknowledging that level. If we look at some of our other charts, we will see that something else was going on. That entanglement, that sort of batch and a range that we were moving within, that was actually predicated on having the support at 6,619.83. As you can see, now things make a little bit more sense to you. Of course, we had that 6,568.96 that was confirmed and retested. Those are technical levels. If you look deeper, you can identify how the market very accurately acknowledges these levels. But Greg, what about the other levels that you can see obviously that were tested inside? Yes, those are more minor levels. Of course, as you can see, the market more so was focused on retesting this level, and this is why we look for destinations and not just wet cardboard strength support and resistance levels, which, by the way, believe it or not, some of you already know I can find within absolute seconds. It's not that difficult. In fact, I'm very well aware of them. It's just that those are relevant for those who are more into scalping or day trading and so on. Now, if we look at the previous support and resistance levels that we were, by the way, that is that 6,642 that we know we already tested, and it's not going to be all that surprising, all that weird when that level will get retested, and arguably that was the level that we were going to. That black line is not a technical level nor a psychological level. This is just sort of something I was well, you see, it's a drawing. This is where I was pointing out what we may end up seeing in the price action. Is just a line, so only the lines that are acknowledged by numbers right here. In fact, arguably so, we're still at the lower band of the entanglement around 6,666.66. Although that's a psychological level. By now, if you're not new here, you know exactly what that is all about. In reality, the more stronger levels around that 666-ish level is 6,670.70, 6,684.92. Those are technical levels and very strong ones, in fact. And so, yeah, I mean, of course, we are aware of the levels below, but so, yeah, what we saw basically is just sort of a little bit of a sideways movement within these channels, nothing all that substantial, nothing all that special. Of course, as always, those who are aware, I was talking about it in my community, highlighting everything, showing, of course, preparing the community, as you can see, very same charts, right? Of course, breaking down, of course, as we were going, I was showing and highlighting how the supports and various support and resistance levels play out quite accurately. Morse, of course, did break down what my expectations are and so on and so on, right? That's as I usually do. Definitely join the community. In the end of the video, you'll have all the links. So the links are also in the description below. And in the corner of the video, sorry, right there, you will have a little circle that you can just press and subscribe. Don't forget to ring the notification bell, otherwise you'll not be informed. And that is then the same thing as reading one page out of an entire book, and then when you're not up to speed. And I did give sort of more up-to-date analysis with the most relevant occurrences, but if you'll not watch it and not going to be aware, and you definitely want to be aware of the next videos because crazy things are coming, and I'm gonna break it all down here and analyze the price action, the charts, and everything. I'm going to show everything here on my channel, so definitely subscribe so you'll be in the know or up to speed. So check this out again. If we go to the charts we were usually looking at, our sort of regular charts, we know we usually tend to the momentum on the 1 minute, nothing all that substantial, right? The market seems to kind of tittering sideways, nothing all that crazy. We're not going to look at the 1 minute, we know that is not substantial. 5 minutes also somewhat arguably boring, but we can see how we are about to retest potentially what was the ceiling in this level, kind of dropping just a little bit lower before we have confluence below that 20 range. If we look at our 30 minutes, we actually are bullish, looking towards convergence, divergence, confluence here. So we are probably looking at this 66, not 20, 19, if you will, whatever you want to call it, same thing. More upside confirmation for this level, for that level that I was just talking about, that it will be retested again, which does lead to sort of retesting of these very same levels that the gap was opened at. Sort of makes sense, before we depart, before we continue. As you know, even on the upside, when we move to, well, if the price action is appreciating, we oftentimes see some retests before we have that movement that continues in the very overall direction of the trend, which we know right now is being very bearish. In fact, far more bearish than I've expected. It doesn't mean we are not yet into some corrective movements, yet arguably what we see here in the 45 minutes is not that significant, so it's not going to lead to the price action to correct, as high as, let's say, well, this is definitely not showing us 67.43, for example, okay, to be clear about things. This actually is potentially showing us as high as 66.84 quite easily, the way the price action here is moving with this divergence, very clear divergence towards that 50 range, toward the 0 range, if you will, on the stochastic RSI. We are bullish, objectively moving into bullish territory. That easily implies that we may return and correct back into this range of 66.84. Now 4 hours. 4 hours is not yet there. Again, that sort of shows overall confluence with this level where we're at right now. Yet it does show how we're testing this level 66.19 back and forth. So that makes sense that we're not yet done with this whole process. Basically sort of confirms what we saw before, that we're not done yet, although we are moving in an overall downtrend. We're not yet done with this overall process. Now on the daily chart, let's see what the daily chart gives us. The daily chart has confluence, and the daily chart is now bearish, looking downwards. So that means, again, everything that we're going to see potentially tomorrow playing out is just going to be a lot of wasting of time, a little bit of up, a little bit of down. Even if it's going to appear somewhat volatile, the end result is that we're going to continue the downtrend. Well, with this again being bearish, at bearish territory, we're probably going to see at the end of the day something that is potentially, if we're going to see tomorrow some upwards movement throughout the day, towards the end of the session we may see some correction towards the end of the week, if you will. As Friday, right, we're coming to the end of the week, and so that potentially showing us how that loss of momentum towards the weekend will look like. Weekly chart, of course, is great, because on the weekly chart we're far better looking into next week. As you can see, we are objectively very strong bearish, in fact arguably accelerating when you see this a situation where one of the forces hitting 0 and the other one is dominant, which we objectively are right now bearish. As long as this will retain its structure and will remain bearish in oversold territory below that 20 range, that means we're going to become even more and more bearish. So that sort of shows us into next week how we're going to again retest potentially that 6506.03, 6488.98. So basically we are seeing more of that pressure downwards, irregardless of whether in the beginning of the week we're going to see first some movement to the upside. The end result will be that throughout the upcoming uh, sessions into the leading weeks, if you will be a lot more bearish than bullish, especially looking at next week given this current setup. Okay, so monthly, what are we seeing on the monthly? The monthly is as I warned those who are in the community and quite been aware and up to speed. I've been warning all about this for quite a while. In fact, for multiple months, this entire period, as we were going from October 2025 and then November, December, of course, as we started the new year, February, January, February, and March. Now that we're finally hitting uh, that side of the ranges again that I was uh, sort of warning that although this process took a lot longer than expected, and still we are about to find the result of the price action moving downwards and sort of completing the right side of the equal of what we see on the left side. Again, it does not have to be symmetrical, but on the grand scheme of the idea of the cyclicality, this is exactly what we're looking for. So in the grand scheme of things, basically, what is the bottom line? Some leftover bullish momentum in the system. Most of it is going to get purged within the following sessions, whether it's tomorrow through Friday or in the beginning of next week. But overall, the momentum still remains very bearish, and in fact becomes even more bearish throughout the the last sessions we had. And in the upcoming sessions, it appears to become even, or at least we're seeing signals of it becoming even further bearish, which of course accelerates and moves us even faster and closer to that 6400 handle. That is it, boys and girls. Of course, you can expect the respective assets to experience a lot more bearish tendency as we do. Don't forget, we will still, what we're seeing here and what we're saying basically is that the price action will not just drop tomorrow to all hell, although it can. We do know that the price action does depreciate and drop far faster than it does appreciate. It's kind of a given and a known at this stage. But don't expect it to happen tomorrow. What we're seeing is more so is a buildup of conditions that will lead up to the sort of straw that breaks the camel's back to solidify itself. And as we're seeing it sort of play out, the further we move within the several upcoming sessions and into the leading weeks, we will see the price action become even more and more bearish, leading to even lower and lower outcomes on the price action. Sort of just kind of how it goes in tandem, one with itself. Yeah, about why the new channel. This is a little bit of an experiment, trying to see if maybe I've been having a bit of an issue with YouTube potentially putting a bit of a glass ceiling on my videos, and so I'm trying to, if you will, do this from a fresh page sort of thing. Of course, the everything will remain exactly as it was. Maybe just the very minor details about the overall YouTube channel itself. Of course, I will still be uploading on the other channel. Do not forget to join into the community right now while it is still heavily discounted. Those who don't know, it is 30% discounted right now. The once the discount expires, the full price is $99 a month to join the community, to be up to speed. If you change this little ticker to paying annually, you will then pay $56 a month instead of $70. Definitely do not sign up through iOS because they charge you, I think, like 15 or 25 extra percent on top of the price here. So do not join through iOS. Just join through your computer, through your regular browser. Make sure not to join directly through your phone or so on. Follow me on X, where I post all sorts of things. If it's memes, posts about how I predicted the price action months ago, as you can see, back in 2025, going back to 6666 and retesting it, in fact, through charts and so on and so on, and highlighting how that level makes all that sense, and it will go back and retrace back to it. As you can see, it's all my charts and all that wonderful stuff. Definitely join through joining the Patreon, you'll then be going to be able to join the Discord, on of course which you're going to be exposed to my academy. I currently have only 2 spots available in my one-on-one academy. It is now also heavily discounted. I basically teach you how to read the market. I'm not going to tell you to trade, swing, invest, whatever. Do with the knowledge as you please. Reading the market is necessary for everyone, whether you're an investor, trader, all alike. Doesn't matter. Everyone needs to know what really is going on in the market. And if you refuse to do that, you're just kind of, forcing yourself to remain in your comfort zone, trying to convince yourself that Earth is flat. That is it, boys and girls. I think that's all I had to say for today. I will see you on the next one or in the community. Shout out to all the new members. Do not forget to connect your accounts. Do not stay in limbo. If you stay in limbo for too long, you'll be kicked out simply because the bots do some house cleaning every now and then, right? So make sure you follow all the steps and you connect your account so you'll then be able to enter the actual Discord and see the various channels. If you'll be stuck here, you'll be stuck in limbo. If you want to apply to the Academy, which gives you lifetime membership and many other perks, definitely apply through this Academy application button. I will tend to you then. We're going to have a one-on-one conversation. You'll get to ask me questions, basically a bit of a Q&A. And if you like it, we'll go on and make a schedule for you. Alrighty, boys and girls. Like I said, see you on the next one. Bye-bye for now.